Oh, hey Braden.
Oh, hey, Rogge.
What's up?
Not much, just chilling. You?
Missing mom baby cake.
Aw, boo. You already know. Heart emoji.
Several different colored heart emojis. Man, that was about as specific of a joke as a cold open can get, I think.
I think it's just vague enough that it'll be
Yeah, I guess there's some
equally
universal
useless
appeal.
to, yeah.
Ian will get it. Ian's a real one. He'll get it. He'll know.
Yeah.
He listens to the pod. So we're covering chapters 29 through 32 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Starting here on page 651 for anyone following along. This is career advice. And just as I sit down to it right now, I got to say, one of my favorite chapters, like in the series. It's probably
Really?
top 5 at least.
How so? Or why?
Well, there's just two things that I really like that happen in this chapter. And one of them is Harry's meeting with McGonagall about what his career should be and the, aftermath of that meeting. And the other one is the Weasley twins doing their thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a triumphant, like, fist-pumping moment, for sure.
Yeah, like, I'm a little jaded. I've read these books 1,000 times, but, like, that's a moment where, like, it swells up in me a little bit. Like, yeah, let's go. Let's get it, Fred and George. So, yeah, I mean, I like this chapter.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good one. We're doing 29 through 32. I can't remember if we already said that or not, but all 4 of these chapters were good, I thought. Lots of new information. Like you said before we started, like things are kind of, the ball's starting to roll a little faster here.
Yeah.
And
it is. I agree with that. So for some context, there's a big thing that happened at the end of chapter 28 that really colors it's a lot of what goes on in chapter 29. So my first couple points here are about this pensive memory. Can you catch us up to speed on what was going on with that? For the listeners, they're probably binge listening to this, and we just talked about it. But you and I haven't actually talked in like at least a week and a half.
yes. So for one of the occlumency lessons, Harry somehow gets alone with the pensive and gets to kind of walk through. No, is it Snape is actively trying to get inside, like they're practicing, and like Harry breaks through.
That happened previously, and so now you're right about Harry.
He gets to the pensive.
It's because Fred and George stuffed Montague into a vanishing cabinet.
Yep. Okay. So there's a distraction, and Harry's able to kind of sift through some of Snape's deepest, darkest memories. And one of them that ends up being kind of particularly upsetting to Harry, it's a memory of Snape as a 15-year-old boy in school. So Harry's dad, James, is there with Sirius and Lupin and Wormtail, Peter Pettigrew. They are actively bullying Snape, James, and Sirius.
Undeniably so, yeah.
Really kind of jerks to him, and from the memory, it doesn't seem like Snape really did anything to deserve it. They're just kind of like, yeah, we don't like you. You're weird looking. You're awkward. And so we're going to make fun of you in front of other people.
So we'll get into some of those like justifications and reasons, I think, sort of later in this chapter. But this is definitely something that, my first point here is basically Harry's reaction to it and the extent to which he dwells on it. It's a good chunk of this chapter is just Harry staring off into space, pretending that nothing's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, it really messes with Harry.
So I want to know what you think that says about Harry and his relationship to this memory and his dad, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that Harry finds a lot of his identity in who his parents were, or is at least trying to. And, everyone up until this point has told him how great his parents are, specifically James. And so I think that there's this, I don't know, Harry wants to become like his dad. And it's almost like he keeps the memory alive by, I don't know, trying to be like him, trying to learn more about him, and then and kind of measure his life up against James' life and see how similar they are. And it's almost this way to remember him
Yeah.
and do it by doing that. And so
And
to
I
learn
mean,
that James wasn't always the squeaky clean hero that he's kind of been painted to be,
mhm.
really messes with Harry's head. And I feel like that's been the one of very few constants that Harry has had in his life so far since he started at Hogwarts,
Mhm.
is that like that memory of his parents and that everybody loved him and that they were great and they were murdered by Voldemort, but they were great wizards and they treated everybody right, and like that has been one of the few like rock solid foundational things for Harry that he can lean on. And so the fact that that's kind of like maybe not what he thought it was really messes with his head.
So another like slightly different angle that I take when I look at it is how much Harry looks like James, right? So
Right.
Harry was, they died when he was an infant. He wasn't able to be raised by them. He can't attribute the person that he is in terms of his personality to their parenting. So he goes directly to, well, I am the product of them. So like I'm naturally imbued with their personalities. I look just like him. I've got my mother's eyes. He's very interested in like the traits that he carries of theirs, right? He's always comparing himself to them because that's all he has to go off of is people's memories of them when they were. I mean, they died not like way older than what Harry is now. Like, I mean, 6, 7, 8 years. I'd have to look at the dates on that. But I mean, yeah, it comes to the same conclusion, which is him. This is someone that he's been comparing himself to, and it's been a point of pride for him, like you said. And now, if that's tarnished at all, then it's like, well, who am I? Like, is that who I'm going to become? Does that speak to like who I've been, and like I just haven't realized it? So
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the, like I was saying, that source of identity that maybe Harry probably grew up a lot of his early childhood not having, and then as he got to learn more and more about his parents
yeah,
being at Hogwarts, he started to form like, oh, okay, this is who I am. Like this is who I'll become because I'm so much like him. And so this is a huge, uh, I don't know what to call it. Just that train has sort of been thrown off track
yeah,
by this being able to see Snape's memory here.
yeah, it's a blow. I wondered if also you thought that the fact that he's able to see Snape in a relatively sympathetic light. I mean, that speaks to Harry's empathy. He there's some kids that could be in Harry's exact shoes all the way up to this point and be like, yeah, Snape, I hate that guy. My dad got him real good. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
he
like
sees
I think that's how Ron would have reacted.
it. Yeah, yeah, it could easily have been. Um, I mean, I think Ron knows when
Not that
something
Ron
to
is
some extent.
without,
Yeah,
yeah, not that
but
Ron's without morals, but
it
like,
would have been really easy to. I mean, he knows the adult Snape, and they've hated each other for reasons that have confused Harry for the last like 5 years or whatever. So
yeah,
he sees himself in Snape, in the bullied. I mean, after the Dudley upbringing that he had.
yeah. So it makes me curious if moving forward, the times where Snape is going out of his way to be a jerk to Harry, like in class and stuff, if like seeing this memory and knowing this about Snape will give him a, it's not that it'll make it easier or make him less mad, but it'll be like quicker to let it roll off your shoulder
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, well, yeah, I mean, if my dad was that way, it's not hard to see why Snape would want to take out some of that anger on me.
Yeah, for sure. So then he really channels this into a desire to talk to Sirius.
Yes.
It's not just that like he's going to work through this himself. He's like, okay, the next step is that I have to talk to Sirius and get their side of the story. I need to know what the next thing in this saga is. Which I didn't know if you took anything away from that. That being where he focused this.
Being that he wanted to talk to Sirius specifically, is that what you're asking, or just his general focus to talk to someone?
His focus on finding, I mean, not like an excuse, but like making sure he sees all sides of the story, or I mean, or even if it's accusing them and like getting some catharsis from that. But like not just taking this and being like, okay, that's interesting information and like absorbing it and dwelling on it, but also like wanting to go further with it.
Yeah, I think when I read it, if to me it all stems from Harry's growing desire to not be babied or treated like he's too young or too innocent to handle the truth about what's actually going on with Dumbledore, with Voldemort, with his parents. I think he's just kind of fed up with everybody like, "Oh, you'll understand in time." Like you're too young to be able to handle that right now, or that's you're a little fragile for that right now. So I think it was kind of like, okay, I found this out on my own, and you guys didn't want to tell me that. So I think he just kind of wanted to throw it in Sirius and Lupin's face
Yeah, absolutely.
as though they are two of the people that he thought he could trust most right now.
Mm-hmm.
Two of the adults, I guess, that he would have thought he could trust most right now. I think it's kind of a moment of defiance of like, what the heck else do you guys need to tell me? Or at least just letting them know, like, hey, I know you don't have to lie anymore. And maybe just for his own curiosity, seeing how they would defend that.
Yeah, and we can roll right into that conversation with Sirius and Lupin right now if you want. I mean, it seems like a natural progression here. Fred and George basically plan a whole thing around giving Harry this chance to have this conversation. Not that they know what's going on. They're like, I don't care. Like, any reason to mess with Umbridge is, good enough for us.
Yeah.
And then when Harry is talking to them, he doesn't get, like, super apologetic. He gets, like, reminiscent Sirius and Lupin. Like, oh, man, remember? Yeah, he did used to play with the snitch and swoop his hair back, like... Yeah, he was a jerk, but like, who isn't? Like they're not giving Harry what Harry's heart thinks he wants right then.
Well, and like for Sirius's response, it's more just kind of like, well, but Harry, it was Snape. Like you understand. Like you would have made fun of him too.
You know Snape? Yeah.
Like
you hate him.
You've been
so
around
like
that
what's
guy,
the problem?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sirius, there's not an ounce of like remorse. Like, yeah, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. It's just kind of like, well, we were 15 and it was Snape. So I mean, cut us some slack here.
Well, so let me see if I can turn in my book here to get to the right page where that's happening, where we're having this conversation. Page 670 is where this conversation basically starts, 669. So they do try to give the justification, Sirius does, that, well, Snape was into the dark arts. And James was never, he was a jerk and I could be a jerk too, but we were always against like dark arts and so I guess evil magic. And they don't talk about the racism component of that. Dark arts is associated with Voldemort, is associated with, calling people mudbloods and like being against Muggleborns and stuff like that.
I hadn't even like made that connection in my mind.
Oh, that's or like dark arts is aligned kind of with racism.
Yeah. So that probably, I'm not gonna say it justifies their bullying, but you can see why they don't feel bad about it, I guess.
It helps detail why they are enemies.
Yes, that's the better way to phrase it.
And I mean, and not that I would, desire to justify James either, but like Snape does come back up and like use spells like to slash him in the face, which is a little bit of an escalation in terms of violence from. I mean, James was doing things that were humiliating, but not like incredibly violent, like the soap in his mouth and like hanging him upside down and stuff. That's a little different from like actually like slashing at him, I guess. So
Yeah, I'm not.
it's fraught. It's a fraught. It's a hefty situation from an emotional
There is
perspective.
some heft to it.
Yeah. Let's see if I can.
Yeah, so I mean, Snape isn't spotless, but it is. I don't know, like James also in that particular memory, like Snape wasn't even. It wasn't like Snape walked down, and we don't know what happened in class
Right.
before this instance or
Well,
whatever.
we do.
But like
We
it
saw
was.
them taking the test. I mean,
Yeah.
it could have been earlier that day or whatever, but
Yeah. It's I you can't necessarily defend Snape for wanting to or having so much interest in something that's so heavily aligned with like racist stuff. But you can definitely not defend James either and just like going out of his way to be a total jerk.
yeah. And for Harry, it's not a surprise that Snape was doing something he doesn't like, but
Right.
then the fact that his dad wasn't just on, the knight in shining armor kind of side is what makes it tough. Let's try to flip this slightly. Let's put this in the shoes of Harry and Malfoy. Could you see Harry doing this to Malfoy when he walks around? I mean, Harry and Malfoy, enemies since day one, don't like each other. Malfoy's done plenty of terrible stuff over the last 5 years. He's always a jerk to Harry, saying racist stuff to Hermione. Okay, Harry's the exact same age his dad was. They're sitting under a tree. Malfoy is just walking by, doesn't even antagonize Harry this time. Do you see Harry jumping out at him like that?
No. No, I think that's the difference though. Like Harry like I guess I read so far that like Harry's more so like the more time I don't have to deal with Malfoy, the better. Like I
Yeah,
would
that's
just rather
true.
not see him.
That's true.
And like if he's gonna walk by with his goons or whatever, like let's just have our own conversation and not pay attention to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's typically only when Malfoy like antagonizes Harry that he gets a rise out of him. So and that's what's different with James. James just was like, I'm bored. Let's go like throw Snape around.
Yeah, and I mean, in fairness, Harry has had like a lot of trauma in his past already at age 15 that James didn't necessarily have, that have led him to be more introspective and having to grow up really quickly.
Sure.
And there's pros and cons that come with that, but they're at very different places emotionally in terms of maturity, I think.
Definitely.
Okay, that's a lot of time talking about a memory that happened not even in this chapter, but it does inform a lot of what's going on in this chapter, and we'll have to see what you think about how Harry takes Lupin and Sirius's responses and what he does with that going forward. There's two other events I wanted to make sure we hit on. One of them is on page 662. Harry meets with Minerva McGonagall for career advice, which is what this chapter is called. Wants some advice on what career he wants. What did you think of this scene? What do you think of Harry's desire to become an Auror? What did you think of Umbridge's involvement?
Well, first of all I could really think about is how this parallels with our society today, where we expect 16, 17, 18-year-old kids to try and make uninformed decisions on what they want to do with the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we shove them into that decision, it's like, okay, we'll go spend thousands upon thousands of dollars to get an education so that you can do that. Otherwise, you will fail and you won't be successful. So it just kind of like, I'm getting a little like serious and ranty about that, but like that's just what it made me think of. Like, all right, so we're gonna bring you in, in the middle of like probably one of the more stressful times of your Hogwarts career.
Yeah, smack in the middle of like you're about to take your owls.
You're trying to study, you are not getting a lot of sleep, and if you're Harry, you're worrying about where Voldemort is who wants to kill you. And all right, so just don't think about that for like 10 minutes and just like let's talk about what you want to do with the rest of your life. What do you think? Have you picked anything? It's just like it's kind of ridiculous. So Harry's just kind of like, I've thought about being an Auror one time. I I
Because
don't know.
a Death Eater disguised as an Auror suggested it to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting when you put it that way. Like, it's it's not as bad in the wizarding context in that we don't know anything about really expensive wizarding universities with like crazy student loans that you feel societally pressured to attend.
Right.
But you are basically asking these kids to pick majors at age 15.
And it like with an Auror, like it does say that he'll have to do 3 more years of schooling, right?
Yeah, it talks about like training after Hogwarts, and so I don't know if that's at some kind of like or a specific academy, or if that is at a university that we just don't get details on.
Yeah.
And like I think in defense of like McGonagall specifically, she's not like going in on it too hard. She's just like, okay, like if that's what you're interested in, like here's what that would entail, like hypothetically. You just want to
Yeah.
make sure you take this class and that class. Just so that way you like are prepared, like you know what's kind of going on with that. She's not. I mean, I don't know. She's not like pushing him to sign on the dotted line for anything
No,
necessarily.
not at all. And it's not McGonagall, like she's just doing her job
Yeah.
in the same way that like high school counselors are just doing their job. But I just feel like in the made up world of Hogwarts and in the real world of like education, there should be more emphasis on like why don't you go shadow for a day, or why don't we partner with organizations where we can get students some like real life experience for a day or something
And
to be able to.
I think there are a lot of really good schools that do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And even since I've graduated, I'm almost sure that it is more feasible to go and get real world experience during, during your senior year. You take a half day, you go do something, and that's not just like when I was in school, it was just like a cadet teacher kind of thing, which I did, but now you can go and get an internship with like a really successful farmer. I know a guy that did that. You can go to a media company, even in a town like Warsaw. Um, I think it's more open, but some of that stuff does come at the expense of taking AP classes and boosting your GPA and your resume if you're trying to get into a top college. So it would be, I agree, ideal if those could go hand in hand a little bit more.
Yeah.
What do you think about? So if we take it at face value, and okay, this is just what's happening. We're at a career advice thing, and now, but now it's a scene, it's a setting for an Umbridge and McGonagall throwdown, which is my favorite in my heart way to look at this.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy that as much as I do?
Yes. Yeah, I love it, and it made it a lot better for me that like the size difference between Umbridge and McGonagall was described by
Yes.
JKR in this, because that's
Yes.
something I hadn't really considered before
Yes.
now. I knew that Umbridge was written as like squat, but I didn't know that like McGonagall would like face up with her and be like a foot taller.
Oh yeah, at least.
Yeah.
McGonagall is like a tall woman, and Umbridge I don't picture as hitting 5 foot.
Yeah, so that was enjoyable. I liked how that scene was getting set, and you could just feel it building with her like Umbridge's stupid little coughs.
Yeah.
And McGonagall just repeatedly asking her if she needs a cough drop. Yeah, it's a good scene for sure.
And then Umbridge specifically is like, well, Harry can't be an Auror because Aurors work for the Ministry, and the Ministry hates people named Harry Potter.
Yeah, basically. Like, I mean, at the end of this, ends up screaming like Harry Potter will never be an Auror,
Yeah.
or like he'll never work for the Ministry.
Yeah. At first she's like, does he have quite the temperament? I mean, sometimes he's gotten mad before. And then it ends with
rules.
Oh, I bet that's what Dumbledore wants, isn't it? I bet that's what Dumbledore even wants. McGonagall.
You didn't even tell me happy birthday today.
I mean, they didn't, to be fair. TBQH. I legitimately don't care. Like, I'm helping with youth group again this year. I'm going to go to that tonight, and I'm not going to tell them it's my birthday, and it's going to be fine. Like, it's not going to matter. So.
Well, happy birthday from
Thank you.
your co-host.
Thank
or
you.
Muggle host.
That's just the only thing that would really apply to a happy birthday.
Seems somewhat
I'm
appropriate.
going to do a sad trombone. And then let's circle back around and finish out the chapter here. The reason that Harry is able to get time to... Okay, well, I guess we can just briefly... McGonagall just vouches for Harry. She just goes all in, puts all her chips in the basket, and is like, I will stay up day and night to help Harry Potter study so that he can get these grades and he can become an Auror. And I like that.
I did too. And I like that she also point blank throughout there, like, I'm going to do that and I'm willing to do that and say that I'll do it right now because I know that you won't be around that long.
Yeah.
To Umbridge, which is bold. And I like it.
She's like, as long as Fudge is minister, like, oh, so you're saying you don't want Fudge to be minister? It's like, yeah, no, duh. I've made that pretty clear.
Yeah.
But also, like, it confuses me when people say things like that, both in the Wizarding world and in real life. Is like, why have a crazy amount of allegiance to this person that's in office for right now? Are you saying that you think that this person should be in office indefinitely? Because that's a dictatorship. Like, that's not what you want. In the Constitution, it says you can only go for 2 terms. You know, like, there's no need to freak out because even if you're on the pro side and someone's against your candidate, it's like, I mean, it's going to change. So you should be invested in the ideology, not the person.
Yeah.
I'm glad you agree.
I'm not going to touch that one. I know where you're going with that. I'm not going to touch that.
I'm not actually going with it there. I'm going with like
I'm saying I understand what you are referencing.
That's what I'm comparing it to. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that, like, why freak out and be like, do you honestly think that Fudge is going to be prime minister forever? Like, it's not controversial to say that one person shouldn't hold this position indefinitely. That shouldn't be a controversial statement.
Yeah, I don't think that Umbridge thinks in those terms.
Which is
like
insane.
this is like the quintessential I'm gonna take over the world villain.
Yeah.
Like, there is no, well, once I secure this position within the ministry, I'm gonna implement my system that I think is fair and good for all. It's just kind of like, I hate Dumbledore. He's been in there too long.
I've
got
power.
the better idea. I like power. I don't like Harry Potter. I'm going to fix all those things, and I don't really give a frick what happens to people in the aftermath.
Yeah, like, what's the end game for some of these villains? Like, I respect a villain with an end game, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. What's a good villain with an end game that's, like, really thought things out? Like, yeah, I recognize what I'm doing. It can be seen as evil, but, like, here's where I'm justified, and here's how I'm going to implement my plan.
It's not an amazing example, but I'm thinking Ultron from the Marvel comic books, what's it called? Avengers, the second Avengers movie. Mm-hmm. He's like, okay. I mean, and it's a common trope is a computer comes to life and is like, oh, people are evil. I need to rid the world of people to make it safe. And I mean, he's not pretending that he's going to set up like a Republican democracy or anything, but he like has a reason and like a set end game with that. It's like, here's the plan, and then we're going to do this, and then there isn't just like a question mark at the end. It's not like step 5 and then step 6 is profit,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess kind of the other side of that coin is like the Joker, who in most representations is like, I'm telling you that I'm just here for chaos,
Yeah. He makes it pretty plain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he's one of the very few villains that doesn't seem to want power, I guess.
Well, in a way, yeah, because I'm thinking of at least like
Like
Heath Ledger
political or
Joker.
economic. Yeah.
It's like people are driven by fear.
Hmm.
So why don't I drive fear into everybody and see where their allegiances really lie,
Hmm.
or see what they're willing to do?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Will they band together, or will it just be mass chaos? We'll find out.
It's usually chaos.
Yeah.
Um. So anyway, the reason that Harry is able to have this conversation with Sirius and Lupin right after his career advice session is because Fred and George are balling out. Is that the best way to put it?
This chapter for me, Fred and George became like real characters.
And it's kind of spanning, I'm just going to say right now, this is spanning like this chapter and next chapter a little
Yeah.
bit.
Because up until now, like we had talked about them a little bit in previous episodes, but it was always kind of like, yeah, I don't know, they're doing their own thing. They want to open a joke shop. They don't seem that
Comic
important
relief.
to the plot. Yeah, it's just kind of like, yeah, they're a fun side thing to just sort of fill in the gaps, I guess.
They're mad at Ludo Bagman for various reasons.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and so for like their whole stunt in basically giving Umbridge the finger and leaving school was like, okay, these are real characters. They served a real purpose in this book. And I don't know, I know I always say this and I always think about this stuff in terms of like how they'll make it, if they'll make it into the movie and how they'll be represented. But like this is a scene that I'll be really looking forward to.
Yeah.
If it's there.
Of course. Yeah, I get what you're saying about them being real characters now. They're not just joking for the sake of joking. They're joking for like they're stating like a higher purpose, and it's also going to bring in more profits, which is just genius. Like if you can convince people that you're fighting for the rebellion by playing pranks, then you can sell your pranks better.
Well, and it's like it finally has culminated that like they have, like I didn't take them seriously, but they have been building something in behind the scenes. Like it's weird like prank stuff and joke stuff, but they've been like they've been perfecting they've been perfecting their craft. They've been like building products and testing them out and doing like market research.
Yeah.
And they've got a building locked down. And they've got like a business plan moving forward.
Yeah.
And they're like, we just realized that we're wasting our time.
Yeah.
So screw you, we're out.
Like even Hermione is like, I gotta hand it to him. This is good magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I just love this is one of the very few times when you can just put yourself in Hogwarts and be like, yeah, like you're seeing the Weasley twins up there, you're like, I follow those guys. Like I'll buy some freaking fireworks and I'll buy some puking pastilles and like I'm in on this fight against Umbridge, you know? Like it's very relatable.
Yep.
Because everyone knows a class clown. I guess that's not a good point that I would be making there. But it's like, who are your Fred and George? Like the class clowns that like also like were fighting for freedom and like take a stand against, like that's not actually
that's
a common
that's what I was gonna
trope.
say. Like it's fun and I don't know if encouraging is the right word or like motivating when somebody takes a stand against somebody like Umbridge.
Yeah.
And like everybody's been thinking it, but everybody's been too afraid to say it. And somebody has like a plan, a well thought out plan to like take a stand and just like drop the mic and walk away. It's just fun.
And everyone besides Slytherins obviously already respects Fred and George in terms of like they know they're funny, and to be funny you have to be smart and witty. Like you look up to them at least like socially. Be like, yeah, like those guys like are undeniably cool, and in at least in like the cool by being funny way.
So. Yeah. Because I was going to say, like, I don't know if you'd asked me before this, like, do you think students at Hogwarts respect Fred and George Weasley? I don't know if I'd have said respect. I think I would have said more like they're kind of like everybody knows that they're wild cards.
Which
I guess is a
wild
form of respect. But like
I mean, like, you know that they're on the side of like good, like they're gonna fight the Slytherins, like they're anti, racist and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they're label cards in that they're like, you don't know what their next move is gonna be, but there's only so much going on at Hogwarts from an entertainment perspective, and so it's like it's respect in the same way that like you respect like Eddie Murphy or like like an objectively good comedian. Where you're like, wow, like the time and effort it takes to like craft and do some stuff they do. People respect like they know the secret passages and they stand up to Filch and they go and steal food from the kitchens. They're like, so they're both the jokesters, but they're also like troublemakers, like the Fonz bad boy, not the Fonz, but like the like bad boys, sort of like sticking it. They've always been sticking it to the man.
Yeah. Yep.
So I like, yeah, and this bridges us into the next chapter, like I said, but that was my first point on chapter 30. Grop is the prank culture at Hogwarts that comes up around Fred and George's exit. So if you want to continue to talk about that, is what I would like you to do, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. I love the whole like students feeling empowered thing. This happened to me in middle school, actually.
Good.
I think we've talked about this before, but there was a period in like it was eighth grade, and like the teachers in that middle school did not like our class, justifiably so. We were twerps, but we felt that, and like there was like a 2 week span in eighth grade where like I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of students decided like we're kind of done with this. And like we're just like they had decided like you can't put gel in your hair anymore. Like I
What?
remember that being a crazy thing. Like they didn't like the hairstyles. Like the hairstyles were getting out of control. Like people doing like Liberty spikes and stuff. And so like a ton of like these middle school eighth grade boys came to school and like met in the locker room before school that day, and we just had tubs of hair gel and we were just like slicking our hair back and putting it straight up, and like everybody went out to school that day and like everybody got in trouble, but we were all together. And like I can remember like I one of my most vivid memories from it is a kid borrowed a mullet wig that I had from a Halloween costume,
A costume.
a costume, and I don't even remember why he had it. But the principal of that school tried to just like reach out and take it off his head, and the kid went sprinting down the hallway, and this principal chased him down the hallway. So imagine an eighth grade boy with a mullet wig
Yeah.
flowing through the wind behind him like a cape, just sprinting down a hallway as a like 50-some-year-old middle school principal chases him. And like the hallways are lined with middle schoolers of all ages just cheering and laughing.
Of course. So
So
I have some questions. The wig is just staying on as he's in a dead sprint.
yeah, he's like running, and as it starts to slip off, he like reaches one hand up and kind of shoves it back in place,
Yeah,
and then
okay.
keeps running.
Okay.
And yeah, yeah. So just like stuff like that, and I am not trying to say that we were right in the way we behaved. Like we made that whole school year miserable for those teachers.
Was it? I mean, are we talking like to the man? Every single teacher was like vocally against students and was like being
No,
actively
it
unkind?
was like 5 or 6 that we were just
Okay.
like, we don't like these people, and then like the principal kind of backed them or whatever. And so then we were just kind of like, I don't know, like again, not justified. We were immature and like stupid. But I'm trying to equate that to like I remember that feeling of like,
Yes.
wait a minute, we don't care what happens to us because we'll
Yeah.
all be together once we get in trouble.
Yeah.
So like it's chaos. It's organized chaos now, and this is going to be so much fun.
Yeah, and
I have to feel like that's what's going on at
that
Hogwarts.
feeling, yeah, is exactly like taken up to another level because magic, and these
Right.
students pretty legitimately can avoid getting in trouble, like maintain plausible deniability with like the way they're doing it, like making themselves sick and like umbragitis and like doing things like secretively enough because they're just like, we hate you. Like I'm telling you that I hate you. So it's not like I have to like hide my reasons for it, I guess.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it does sound great. Yeah, so I like the you can feel it as you get through this chapter and the next chapter. Like Hogwarts is on a knife's edge from going
Yeah.
like full rogue, like you're describing. Because like even like as you're saying, you remember it, and you said it's not every kid. It's probably like 40 kids. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
probably like it's probably even less than you remember it, or like whatever. But this is like
Oh,
depending
I'm
on
guessing it was like 12, maybe.
oh
Like in my mind, it like at that time, it felt like it was a huge group of us, but
yeah,
like it probably wasn't even that many.
right. But
But
like
still,
this is probably like 600
yeah,
11 to 17-year-olds that are
yeah.
all like strongly screw you. Like you are being ridiculous.
And what makes it even to a level that like I can't even try to connect with a memory is that you can tell that a lot of the teachers are on
Yes,
board
yeah, that's true.
by not helping. Like when the whatever that room is turned into a swamp after
Uh-huh.
Fred and George leave, and nobody knows how to reverse it.
Hmm.
Air quotes.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Yeah. Harry's like Flip McGonagall guaranteed could have done it in like 1 actual second. Like there's no way.
Yeah.
I mean McGonagall well the teachers, let's see what page we're in here. This is great radio. There's a point in which it's describing how the teachers were actually on their side and like were pretty actively like giving the Gryffindors like points. Shoot, where is this? Or that could happen in a prior chapter, but I know for sure that McGonagall is described as like helping Peeves unscrew a chandelier the correct way
Yeah.
because she can see where this is going and like what needs to be happening. I'm going to read a paragraph here on page 678. This is another thing that differentiates this situation from your middle school experience, which is that there's a poltergeist involved here who has no agenda that is not destroy Umbridge like psychologically. Like that is what he's like, I don't have to eat or sleep like I'm a poltergeist. Like this is my mission. And it just makes me so happy that he listens to Fred and George and is like, yeah, you're my guys. So this is on 678. But not even the users of the snack boxes could compete with that master of chaos, Peeves, who seemed to have taken Fred's parting words deeply to heart. Cackling madly, he soared through the school, upending tables, bursting out of blackboards, and toppling statues and vases. Twice he shut Mrs. Norris inside suits of armor, from which she was rescued, yowling loudly by the furious caretaker. He smashed lanterns and snuffed out candles, juggled burning torches over the heads of screaming students, caused neatly stacked piles of parchment to topple into fires or out of windows, flooded the second floor when he pulled off all the taps in the bathrooms, dropped a bag of tarantulas in the middle of the great hall during breakfast, and this is my favorite, whenever he fancied a break, spent hours at a time floating along after Umbridge and blowing loud raspberries every time she spoke. Like, it's not objectively, it's not like he's stabbing her, it's not like we kind of said, like there's the humiliation versus violence. Like this is just psychological warfare.
Absolutely.
And it's so good.
Yeah, like you said, I just really appreciated that like Peeves felt this sense of like duty
Yeah.
as soon as Fred and George pulled their whole like exiting act
Yeah.
of just kind of like he had never felt called to a higher honor.
Yeah.
It's just like I will carry this out for you boys. I got this.
And yeah, and I just love that so much. Is that Fred looked across the hall at the poltergeist. Give her hell for us, Peeves. And Peeves, who Harry had never seen take an order from a student before. Like, if you told Peeves, like, Peeves, can you please, like, excuse me so that I can... Peeves would be like, screw you, and just start, like, slamming you with desks or whatever. He, like, salutes. And there's just something that, like, I don't know, like, the troublemaker that finds his calling, like you said, like a higher purpose.
Yeah.
That's just, like, a trope that for some reason, like, It touches me, and I love it.
I just feel like I don't really know what Peeves' face looks like. I don't remember if it's in the movies or not, but I just
He's not
imagine him
he's
like,
literally not in the movies. So
yeah. I just imagine him having just giving like a solemn nod, just kind of like he's holding back tears a little
yeah,
bit and just mission now. He's like, I will stop at nothing to ruin Umbridge's life
yeah. Peeves has spent his whole existence
because of Fred
being
George.
in favor of chaos. Like, in the first book, it would just casually be like, oh yeah, Peeves made people set their pants on fire, or Peeves is throwing water balloons at kids even though it's already raining. Like, he doesn't need a reason, but he's seen in Fred and George like a combination of motive and opportunity that he's never before considered. It's like galaxy brain Peeves. And I like that he has like that's like some kind of sense of morality in him that is like, you're a poltergeist that just like throws things at people, but you should like it's true that you would hate Umbridge, you know?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
she's so
'Cause
anti-chaos.
right, and because like up until now, anytime we had talked about Peeves, like I found him annoying. Like why do they allow him to just kind of hang around the school? And
Right.
so this is a huge reversal in my feelings for Peeves. Like
Yeah.
I am cheering him on.
Right.
So
I think we all are. Um oh yeah, and it's right there on 678 is when McGonagall's like, it unscrews the other way. So I like that. Not a lot of different points that I have. I loved our conversation on prank culture. I thought that was excellent. So then there's only two other things that we really need to get to, which is Grop. So I have a couple like sub points here, but I just want to hear you tell me what you think about this Grop situation.
so the way I understand it is Grop is Hagrid's half brother.
Yes.
And so somehow Hagrid was able to, and this is where I don't fully understand how it happened. Like
Fair.
he drug him away from the wizards. He convinced him to leave the wizards, the giants. He drug him away from like the colony of giants or whatever you would call it, or he convinced him to leave the giants and come with him. Like I don't really fully understand how the relationship between Hagrid and Grop formed.
Yeah, it's not
But
clear.
now he's
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, you can go on. I was just going to say that there's definitely some kind of coercion. Like, it's not clear how much of it is voluntary. Like, yes, it sounds like he was getting bullied by the other giants to some extent. So maybe he was like, okay, like he was a little more willing, but there's, he's being drag kicking and screaming. Hagrid's probably doing some magic. It's, all of the above.
Yeah, so it remains to be seen because we have, at least I have thought up until now, that Hagrid's whole mission that he received from Dumbledore was to go and make peace with the giants and somehow get them on their side, to which he has failed miserably. So I guess maybe he's thinking, well, if I mean 1 is better than 0,
Okay.
and I've got a familial relation with this one, so like maybe we can convince him and he can go back to the giants and talk to them.
Right.
I don't know what Hagrid's end game is with this, or if it's just like Hagrid has this undying desire to be like the owner of weird creatures, or be in the supervision of weird creatures, and he's like, I don't know, I couldn't say no. There was a giant there.
I interpret
and I had
it
to
that
take him.
way. And plus, there's that combined with him always talking about like how he's an orphan and like family's so important to him, and just like Harry with his parents, and like I mean he's so attached to Harry. He got Harry out of the building when his parents were killed and took him to the Dursleys. Like he just feels that connection, and so he just feels this family connection to Grop that he hasn't felt since his dad died when he was 13. So.
Yeah.
And then the fact that Grop is a small giant is just icing on the cake for someone that like thinks that it would be cool to own a dragon.
So you're leaning more on like this isn't conventional or like what Dumbledore would have wanted. This is just Hagrid wanting to.
Yeah, I think I've interpreted it.
This is
as,
birthed out of Hagrid's loneliness.
Yes, because Madame Maxime was like, I'm not really on board with this plan. I think that he was supposed to try to be an envoy to the giants en masse and convince them and like talk it through with them and get them on their side ideologically more than like conscript some giants. Does that make sense?
I gotcha. Yeah, so regardless of what the motives were, he now has this smaller giant tied up in the forest and is trying to teach him English.
Yep.
And realizing that he will probably be fired soon by Umbridge, tasks Harry and Hermione and Ron with teaching it English and looking after it.
He's like, he can get his own food. He just needs company. Yeah, I don't. What do you
These
think?
are the times when it's just like, man, I love Hagrid. But like the people that are freaking out about him being in the supervision of children, how do you argue?
Yeah. So like you're kind of aligned with Umbridge here. You're like, he deserves to be fired.
I don't think he deserves to be fired. I think that the role of groundskeeper was good.
I mean,
Like you take care of the grounds and you keep things regulated in like the physical side of Hogwarts, but like maybe you shouldn't be teaching a class about magical creatures that could really harm students.
so I think that he can be a really good teacher. I think it's just that I think it's an oversight on the part of administration, to be honest, that he needs some more he needs a little bit of more supervision. Like let's sit down and plan out your curriculum over the summer, Hagrid.
Or like why can't it be a co-teaching thing with
Yeah.
like him and Grubbly Plank?
Sure. And she's
Like,
just
because
reeling him in a little bit.
yeah, because you're right. Like Hagrid is going to teach them a practical side of things, like a real life application side of things
Yes,
that
he
like
is.
that they're not going to get from any other teacher. But as far as like you're saying, like the logistics of things and the planning out, like how do we wrap this lesson up? How do we make sure this one doesn't eat a child? Like he could use some help.
Here's what I'm saying. When he got back, or was it? It was the year before when Grubbly Flink had been teaching them about unicorns, right? And Hagrid was like, "Oh, well, I mean, I could have taught you about unicorns, but like they're not that exciting. Like he knows about unicorns. Like he has all the knowledge that you could want about not only the exciting creatures, but also the more chill magical creatures. It's just that he doesn't have that filter. And so I think you're right. Like either a co-teaching or like you're going off this curriculum and then do what you want. Like the Niffler lesson was really good. Like as long as he has someone that's helping him plan for what's appropriate, right. someone that he respects. So I can't think that it can go very far beyond Dumbledore. Like Dumbledore has to look him in the eye and be like, this is like you're teaching these things in this order. And I'm not going to tell you how to teach them. I'm telling you that this is what you're teaching, Hagrid. And then he's like, okay,
And I think any teacher needs that.
Yeah,
right.
I would have loved to have that as I mean, like I had as a Spanish teacher, there's basically no standards. The standards are like the students will be able to speak Spanish better. But it's important to have some kind of curriculum. We had to get together every summer and spend like hours planning out our curriculum. Because you can't just walk in and be like, okay, verbs today, boys. Like, that's not how it works.
Yeah. So, it's not all on Hagrid, but
it's definitely partially on Hagrid.
Like this whole idea of like, hey, I kind of did a thing and brought a giant back, and I'm more than likely gonna have to go away. So why don't you 15-year-olds see if you could maybe teach him a language he's never heard of?
It's wild.
And I don't know, just make sure like he's alive and has some company.
Yeah, just like socialize with him. Talk to me about the centaurs. And generally Grop's place in the forest.
like his place in the forest to me, it just seems like it's like Hagrid just found the deepest, darkest corner full of trees and was like, well, this doesn't seem like anybody really needs this space.
I mean, and I'm also saying like his place in the forest, like in a food chain, and like
Oh, you're
whether or
not
not he
talking physical.
belongs here. No.
Yeah. I don't know how that works because I don't understand what the heck lives in the forest, what the pecking order is. I can't speak to that. I have no idea what's going on in there.
I mean, like I would assume that centaurs are kind of have their run, like they're sort of the top
They
dog.
they seem like the top of the food, or not the food chain, but
Yeah,
like the
social,
hierarchy of forest animals.
hierarchy is good. And then
Yeah,
you got your giant talking spiders. Like at a certain point, like those come into play from an intelligence
sure,
perspective.
sure.
And it talks about werewolves and there being some other like dangerous. Like I'm sure there's like a chupacabra or whatever running around in there.
I hope there's a chupacabra.
Um, but yeah, like if the centaurs aren't happy, Hagrid is just very convinced that they won't attack you if you go see Grop. It'll be fine. Can you make a prediction?
Yeah, that's
for
what's
me about
hardest
that?
about this. A prediction about what's going to happen with Grop.
Yeah, like are Harry and Ron and Hermione going to be? Are they going to try to go in and continue to hang out with him? Are they?
I guess I just don't see any way that he just stays put.
Sure, like those ropes aren't
He's
going to
just
hold
like,
him.
no, like he's freaking pulling trees out of the ground, like fully mature pine trees.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not gonna just like hang around and well, Hagrid put me here, so I'll stay here. So I feel like they're gonna come back one day and he's just gonna be gone.
But they are going to try to make good on their promise.
I think they have enough loyalty to Hagrid that they will try. Yeah.
Okay. And this the only other thing that happens in this. Let me just slur my words more. The only other thing that happened in this chapter, we've got a Quidditch match. Quidditch has been on the back burner since Harry got kicked off.
Yeah.
But we get this, and I don't know how much. Maybe you don't care very much about it. I know that you have mixed feelings on Quidditch right now, but Ron got really good at Quidditch for a match and led
Ron had a
Gryffindor
really
to
good
win.
match.
Yeah.
Let's not go out on a limb and like consistency is the key here. Let's not go out and say Ron is good yet.
Ron did really well.
Ron had a really good match. Like really wowed some people. Put his name out there on the map. Like, hey, he actually can play. He has that potential.
He got a remix of Weasley is Our King going on.
Yeah, that's gotta feel good.
So that's as far as this goes for you. You like this is kind of like an extra size. Do we care?
Yeah, I wasn't too worked up about Quidditch in these chapters. I think it will be really cool if and when Harry gets reinstated and like him and Ron can be out there on the pitch together. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Hermione has any athletic ability at all, but it'd be really cool to see her pick up a broom and maybe get all three of them out there on the team.
Okay. What position is Hermione going to play?
Oh boy. Well, seeing as how I don't remember all the positions, this will be hard. Is there some sort of like midfielder that kind of like can help on offense, but also like falls back on defense a little bit?
The chasers are supposed to do that. So the three chasers who are trying to score are also, when they don't have the ball, they're trying to get the ball back, the quaffle. So
like I'm just trying to think of the position on the pitch that would require the most like field awareness and like high IQ. Like in football, it's a quarterback, right?
Yeah, or like middle linebacker.
Yeah, like you got to have a smart person at that position who's like really aware and can be in a position of leadership. So I'm trying to figure out like what that would be in Quidditch.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Harry's going to be the seeker, right?
Well, yeah.
And if Ron's the keeper, then that leaves, it leaves chaser or beater. So like, do you want her doing the chaser?
So she's a chaser. Okay. She's a chaser.
She's not a beater?
She's your main chaser. No.
Okay.
No.
So that's what we got for chapter 30, Grop. Did you have anything else you want to get hit on in that chapter before we go to Do We Cares?
I don't think so. Let's see if we care.
Okay. Just a couple really small ones here. Do we care about any of the careers that were mentioned besides Auror? Can we see Harry moving forward with another one if he fails out of Auror school, or are there any other ones that would interest you?
I'm forgetting what other ones were mentioned.
Okay, that's fair. So the answer's probably kind of no.
Probably no, I guess.
We're on the 656, 657 sort of page here. I'll just kind of run through some that I see. There's being a healer at the hospital. There's Muggle relations. Being a curse breaker at Gringotts. That's what Bill does. Training security trolls. The Department of Magical Accidents and Catastrophes.
I mean, being a healer seems like a cool career.
Sure.
But to answer your question bluntly, no. Like I didn't read over that and think like I want to talk about that on the pod.
Sure.
So
okay, fair enough. Do we care about the Cho Harry dynamic at this point? What I wrote down is that she's kind of ignoring him.
it is interesting, especially just given like everything we've talked about with this like unspoken weird thing between Hermione and Harry.
Yep.
We're not given any kind of like JKR doesn't give us any kind of like, and Harry also has sort of thought that Hermione was attractive in her own way for a long time, but hasn't said anything about it. But you almost feel like that's there.
The closest we got was when Hermione was like, "Oh, you shouldn't have told Cho that you were going to see me. You should have told her that you think I'm ugly." And Harry was like, "But I don't think you're ugly." And so like that's that's the most we got.
Yeah. So it's like I've said from the beginning, I don't think this thing with Cho is going to last anyways.
Yeah,
so
you do not think that.
I'm not that worked up about it. I am curious to see like who approaches who first. Like if Harry, like right now, he just doesn't even have time to think about it with all the tests and.
Yeah, he's a little busy.
Yeah.
He's got Grop on his plate now.
Yeah. Once that all blows over, maybe he goes back to Cho and is just like, "Hey, I'm sorry. Like, let's work this out." Or maybe he's just kind of like, "Yeah, I don't know. I'm good."
Okay, that's where we are. That's where we are with that. All right, we're looking at chapter 31 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. This is called OWLs, more commonly known as owls. So as we look into chapter 31 here, as usual, I had 5 points. We start out with like test lead up and stress. I wondered if you had any specific like recollections about like a stressful test that you've taken or like that you're able to relate to this, or just how seriously these kids are taking a test.
It made me think back to finals my freshman year of college. Not that I was taking anything just like crazy hard, but when you're new at college and you care about your grades, you haven't really had that kind of like all the your typically your professors aren't like, "All right, here's what you need to study. Let's take like a few days here and review." Sometimes that happens, but not that often. Mm-hmm. It's kind of on you. It's your responsibility. So I can remember feeling like, crap, I need to study every day for this many hours and like need to make sure I'm getting up at this time and studying a little bit before. And
wow, you're the Ernie Macmillan of Wabash College.
Well, yeah, I was just like, I didn't know what to expect, and then definitely backed off on that as I went along in school. But I can remember that feeling of like, I don't know what the heck to expect. And if I don't study my brains out, I'm going to fail.
Wow. Um, I don't have any stories like that because I never thought that I needed to study. So, um, not better or worse, just different. I mean, it's worse. Like, I probably should have studied sometimes. I did study for AP chemistry in high school to no avail. Not useful. I
Yeah.
think I might have scraped, I think I scraped a 2.
Yeah. So I studied quite a bit in school, but I was never the kid who like would study till 3 a.m. and then turn around and wake up at 6 and study more. Like I had very strict like, okay, here are the hours that I know that I'll be able to absorb anything and retain it.
Right. There's no point.
Right. These are the hours I'm going to study, and whatever I'm going to know for this test will be learned or reviewed in those hours. Other than that, I'm playing video games, I'm hanging out with my friends, whatever they're doing.
Oh,
Like
gotcha.
I am not. So that's where like me and my wife differ.
Yeah, she didn't stop studying for like 5 years.
She will tell you this. This isn't me like trying to make fun of her. She did not have a college experience. Like she just went and studied for 4 years to be a nurse.
And so she graduated in 4 years. Isn't that fast? I thought nursing school took longer. No, nursing school is a 4-year thing.
Yeah, just to be like for your I think it's your BSN is what she refers to it as. It's just a 4-year degree.
Okay.
A lot of people do it in 2, and it's a I don't know all the acronyms, but you can go and like be a like start as a nurse with like an associate's level type
Yeah.
nursing degree, but
I know
um,
RN is like the highest, or
that's
like
yeah,
it's up
registered
there.
nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess like I just think of it, I know doctors go like 8 a lot of the time, and so I just think of it as more intense because I know she did, and she had boards and like right, and had to go
Yes.
do
Yeah.
like had to try out all the different things, and you got your
Yeah,
practical stuff.
she had clinicals. So like
Yeah,
the last
clinicals.
I think it was like the last 2 years of school, she was like basically being an unpaid nurse
Yeah,
is what she was doing
right.
in
I
a
student
hospital
taught. I
setting.
get it.
Yeah, you understand. Um, and then had to take all her like licensure testing and was pretty stressed out about that. So I don't really know anything about that. I've never taken that kind of serious like,
Hmm.
all right, you need to pass this to make the last 4 years and X $1,000 worth it. That's probably a more comparable situation to
What Harry's going through.
maybe. I don't know. I don't know how much you pay to go to Hogwarts, but
I mean, you don't want to be held back,
yeah.
and like we talked about earlier, they are pretty hardcore being pressured. Like you need to get this many OWLs to go into these careers. If you don't, then you can't. Like you're gonna end up, washing dishes at the leaky cauldron or whatever. So it's intense. So as far as the testing itself, was there anything? I mean, we can kind of run through it. There's basically your practicals in the afternoon and your like pen and paper tests in the morning. It seems like. Was any of that surprising to you, or how they have like test administrator, proctor people?
It was, I guess it was kind of interesting in my head, like the practical portion of it. I don't know if this is the right way to view it, but like in my head, I see it as like these kids standing in a line. And then it's like, all right, Potter, you're up. And he like walks out in front of this professor and he's like, do this spell. And now make a Patronus for a bonus point. Okay, you're done. And then like the next kid walks in.
I think
It's almost like an American Idol of exams.
I think there's the way I picture it. Everyone is sitting outside like the Great Hall, and then they call in like 6 people, and then one at a time as someone gets done, the next person comes in, and there's just like 6 different administrators that you're right with them, and they're like, okay, now like turn this matchbox into a hamster and then make it do cartwheels and sing opera. Like, so you are just being told to do the stuff, but you're in a little more of a one-on-one setting, though you can see generally what's going on around you. You didn't take like AP Spanish or anything like that, did you?
No, English,
Okay.
not Spanish.
That's the closest equivalent that I can think of to a scenario like this, because we in AP in the language classes you have to use like a literal tape recorder, like cassette tape recorder, and record yourself either like speaking extemporaneously on a topic. There's a section where you do that, and then there's a section where you are like responding to what you're hearing in your headphones, where someone is like talking about setting up a table for a school fundraiser or something. And then they leave gaps and you have to like respond to what they said. And you're doing that, but you're also like 40% aware of what everyone else is saying around you. Like you can see Eric over there struggling and you can see people glancing around. And so like you're doing your thing, but you're in the middle of a bunch of people who are also doing their own thing. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Eric tells a story about how he I think he copied Gerard Salter's answers word for word because his mind just went blank and all he could hear was Gerard saying what he was saying and just like rolled with it. And he attributes that to like a full point on his Spanish test.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah. You love to see it. You got your divination, not divination. Well, you do have divination, but we had charms and transfiguration, defense against the dark arts. Seemed like it went well. And then we can just get right to it if you want. Do you think there's anything else you want to get to before we talk about astronomy?
Nothing that like stands out that we missed.
Yeah. They're just, the kids are all on edge and snapping at each other a little bit about how did you do and how did I do, not trying to not bug Hermione and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But on page 718, we're in astronomy. And, I mean, you can walk us through it. What happens as far as Umbridge and Hagrid and McGonagall? How did you understand this?
So all the kids are taking their astronomy exams. So they've got, I guess, is telescopes the right word?
Mm-hmm.
They're doing whatever you do on an astronomy test, and Harry starts to notice that I think he says there's like lights moving around out by Hagrid's hut. And basically what transpires is Umbridge leads a team of goons out there to basically fire Hagrid. And I can't tell if they were planning to like have to remove him forcefully or what, or if they wanted him to leave the grounds. But obviously he throws a fit.
I mean, it's kind of like if you're going to do this, if you knew that you were doing this on the up and up and it was all legit, then there's no reason to do it at midnight. Like that's not how you do something professionally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all really shady. So they've got they're ready to attack and they're bringing guys at Hagrid and he's literally like chucking humans across the grounds.
Yep.
They're like shooting spells at him and stuff and they're just bouncing off his massive body.
Yeah.
And so McGonagall gets wind of this and is like, oh, heck nah. And goes flying out the doors to spout off some undoubtedly really witty, well thought out remarks towards Umbridge.
Oh, yeah, she was going to roast her.
And they just, her goons turn around and just hit her with like 4 like stunning spells right in the chest.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know that much about stunning spells, but the way it's written is like, that's way too much. Like way too much magic hitting somebody square in the chest. So,
the closest thing I can think to compare it to that we've seen is, do you remember near the end of Prisoner of Azkaban when they're all in a room and Sirius is like, no, I swear he's a rat/person, and they're trying to convince Harry about that. Okay, not Sirius, freaking stupid phone. And then Snape comes in and is like, nope, I'm just going to kill him. And then Harry, Ron, and Hermione all used Expelliarmus on Snape at the same time.
Oh yeah, and it like
Or Harry had 3 wands. There was like a triple. They all did it at the same time. I
I
think
think
they
they
all
all did
three
it at
did
the
it at the same
same
time.
time.
I'm trying to remember. The movie does it differently, I think. But like my guy Snape is passed out for like
Yeah.
a couple hours, right? And that's
Yeah, I
3
think in the
disarming
movie it like
spells.
flings him into a wall.
Yeah,
It's pretty serious. So, at this point, we're worried for McGonagall's health
right.
because
You have to
I
be.
kind of see her as like not an elderly woman, but like she's getting up there in years
Oh
and
yeah.
probably a little more fragile than she used to be.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, she's in. I mean, the wizard witch equivalent of like being in your like late 60s, I think, at
I would
least.
think so. Yeah.
Which means she's probably like 100. So we're worried about this. We're worried about Harry failing his astronomy exam because of this, because he didn't get a lot of time to mark down where all the moons were and stuff.
Yeah, but like pretty much all the students just decide like screw this, let's go watch at the window.
Yeah.
So I would think that the results are going to be skewed for everybody
Maybe
that took
maybe
that
it's a
exam.
curve.
You got to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't just fail everyone. And so then we've only got one test after that. That's history of magic, and I guess what were you expecting going into a history of magic exam? Like, there's still a few pages left in this chapter, and we don't know. Like, we don't, as the reader, don't really know anything about history of magic. Like, oh, let me tell you all about these goblin rebellions and like whatever issues with battling giants and stuff. So Harry goes and sits down, and it starts like really describing this test. Did you realize something was up at that point?
I don't think so. Should I have?
No. I mean, that just means that you were on page 725 and you were just kind of reading. You're like, okay, I guess we're hearing a lot of detail about this history of magic exam.
I mean, all I could think about was like Hermione is probably just like sprinting through these questions.
She's like, oh, easy one. Oh, I know this one. Oh, that's easy.
Yeah. And Harry and Ron are probably sitting there thinking like, man, she has told me to read this a lot, and I just haven't done it.
Yeah, they should make the test just about Hogwarts history.
Yeah.
So Harry's trying to do this, and he's getting that like sleep deprived. This is a boring test sort of fogginess anyway, and this makes him particularly susceptible, I think, to slip into his sort of dream vision mode.
Sure.
And then what do you see, and that'll lead us kind of into the next. What does he see that'll lead us in the next chapter? And we can talk about that whole thing and what's important and what's going on here.
So he's back in the hallway, right?
Yeah.
And he says he's walking along the corridor to the Department of Ministries again, walking with a firm and purposeful tread, breaking occasionally into a run, determined to reach his destination at last. The black door swung open for him as usual, and here he was in the circular room with its many doors. Except this time, he sees the shape of a man in black and hears a high voice shouting Crucio. And then there's a dude like writhing on the floor in agony. We know that guy as Sirius Black. Sirius says, "You'll have to kill me." The person in the cold voice, "Undoubtedly I shall in the end, but you will fetch it for me first, Black. You think you have felt pain thus far? Think again. We have hours ahead of us and nobody to hear you scream."
So at this point, Sirius's name comes up. Are you surprised? Is this like, I can't even believe it? Like, what's happening here? Or is this where you thought these dreams were going to go in a direction like this with one of Harry's loved ones?
Yeah, you had to think like one of his loved ones or friends was going to get involved here. and I was not expecting Sirius, but it's not hard to get there in my head because one, you were either worried about Sirius finally like getting so fed up with being isolated that he just goes out and tries to take things into his own hands, or
Very
two,
stir crazy.
like I don't really know that I trust this Grimald place to be totally like secure either with Creature walking around.
Okay, interesting.
So
because Creature's gonna what?
I have no idea.
Creature can let in the bad guys through the front door. He has that power.
I don't know. I don't know if maybe the Sirius Black's mother that like screams all the time from the painting could instruct Creature on how to open a line of communication with Voldemort.
Well, we know that there's that painting of Phineas Nigellus that is hanging both there and in Dumbledore's office. So maybe that painting of her, Walburga, is in another location too, and she can like relay a message like that somehow. I don't know.
Yeah. So I've been kind of skeptical of Creature for a while, and I guess to me it was a matter of time before something like this happened. It's not that I want to give Creature too much credit, but like he's clearly opposed to the Order.
Yeah.
And so like if somebody finds out that he's there, I mean, that's an easy way to gain information if you can get to him somehow.
Right. I do have a couple do we cares for this chapter. One of them was just the details of the test. Do we care about any of the specific things that they were being tested on? I have a guess as to where you would lean with this.
Yeah, first reading, I didn't like write down anything specific that I was like, that's weird. Why are they being tested on that? But
what about the test aids that they're talking about? Like, oh, Harold Dingle's got powdered dragon claw and brain elixir. There's just like a page on that.
Yeah, normally I would say that stuff is garbage. Like that's the equivalent of like, oh, this dude drank a couple energy drinks before a test, or like, but in the world of magic, like, why wouldn't it help? You don't know.
So you think that those could actually be viable, but you don't care about them from like a larger plot perspective or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's what I figured. I can never get over the Hagrid. Hagrid like fights so hard, and I'm picturing him. He's holding one guy by the ankles and is using that guy to hit another guy. You know, he's doing that classic like little brother move.
Yeah, it's kind of a scene out of like Shrek for me.
Yeah.
Like when they finally get to Farquaad's castle from the swamp, and like everybody's in that huge scrum, that giant fight like in the middle of the like. It's been a while since I've seen that movie,
I was gonna
but
say,
isn't that the scene where like Shrek is just like destroying? You've seen that though, right?
Yeah, I mean, like several times when I was in middle school and younger.
Yeah, it's been a while for me too.
But yeah, Shrek's like he's like a big, strong, impregnable fighter type dude.
Yeah.
And then he also, I feel like he's particularly upset once they attack McGonagall. He keeps saying like, "You cowards!" Like that enrages him. And they attacked Fang, right? Wasn't like Fang sort of like limp, and he was just had to carry him out.
Yeah, I think Fang got knocked out.
Yeah, you hate to see that.
Yeah, and I think just sending that much magic like violently towards an older woman like that is cowardly. So
yeah,
I could see. I mean, it talks about how furious Harry is, and
the one test Professor Tofty or whatever up on the roof is like, wow, like without even a warning, like that's cowardly, like that's outrageous. And he's a pretty neutral observer, it seems like.
Yeah, it's a pretty scummy move.
Okay, chapter 32, Out of the Fire. And we get a good picture of Harry, I guess, talking to Creature through the using flu powder in the fire and all that. So this is a big one. It seems like things are happening, tides are turning. So Harry starts out just in panic mode is my first note here. He's freaking out.
Yeah.
And he's like, I gotta make sure, I gotta talk to Sirius, like I gotta talk to Harry and Hermione. Do you have any or Ron and Hermione? Do you have any thoughts about this? Oh, he wants to talk to McGonagall.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know how this went down last time with Arthur Weasley.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and not that Harry doesn't care about Arthur, but this time it's Sirius, his godfather, his like last connection to his dad.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think I'd be freaking out too.
Yeah, I mean,
especially just knowing that like drawing on his past experiences with Voldemort, the pain of like the Cruciatus curse.
Right.
Like that's not something you can just like hang back and not be urgent about.
I want to turn us to page 733 here, and it sort of starts on 732. Hermione isn't immediately super supportive of Harry's desire to rush off to the Ministry of Magic and jump in and do this thing. So I wondered what you thought about her arguments against doing this and whether she had any validity.
Say the page number again.
So we're on 732 to 733.
Okay.
Hermione's like,
yeah.
I just want to walk through this. Like, how did Voldemort get in? And Sirius, like, these are the two most wanted wizards in the world. What's the plan here and what's going on, basically? And then on 733, okay, yeah, no, go ahead.
She thinks that like Voldemort is using this kind of more as like a trick with Harry, like knowing that she calls it like he has a saving people thing.
Yeah, that's exactly the quote I was going to ask you about.
So I think she's almost implying that like, look, Voldemort knows that if he can get you all emotional and upset over somebody you love being in imminent danger, that he can get you to just think irrationally and act without like considering the consequences. And that is like the last thing Harry wants to hear in that moment.
Yeah, so do you agree with Hermione here, or do you side with Harry, which is like, I don't care if it's a trap or not, it's serious, I have to save him?
This is a hard one, because Hermione's good at discerning those kinds of things.
Hermione's good at everything.
Right, but like Harry, I mean, I also agree with Harry, though, like, the last time he had a clear vision like this, it was Arthur, and he was in real pain.
Yeah.
And it did save his life.
Right, we're 1 for 1.
And so, like, I understand the Harry side of things where it's like, yeah, okay, maybe it is a trick, but like somebody has to do something here because he's just going to kill my godfather.
Yeah. So they basically make a plan. The compromise is Hermione says, well, we need to make sure. Like, you've got to guarantee me that Sirius is not at home.
Yeah.
So this is like, we've seen Harry and Ron and Hermione make some plans to this point. Where does this rank in terms of how well constructed their plan is to get into Umbridge's office again?
It's got a lot of like steps and nuances to it, I guess, but it's birthed so quickly.
Yeah.
That you just kind of had the feeling from the beginning it was not gonna end well.
Yeah, and then I mean, obviously, it they end up getting caught, and so we can talk about kind of Umbridge's reaction. But she was like, "I have security measures in there. I knew where Peeves was. He was off doing something totally different. Like, you had to have fail safes and backup plans because it seems like they're really in it."
Yeah, and I mean hindsight's 2020, but like to think after multiple episodes of people, I think putting nifflers in her
Uh huh.
office,
Yep.
like she's not just going to continue to leave her office unattended.
Right. So yeah, they tried the garroting gas, and they did try some things, but it seems like, I mean, I don't know. Harry is just kind of operating on the I'm Harry Potter, my plans work out, like we just got to do the thing. But there are like real stakes here. Like Umbridge is no longer messing around. Like she'll torture you. Like you're going to get expelled, like you're going to go to jail. Like that's where we are in terms of like Umbridge's willingness to punish these kids at this
Yeah.
point, right?
Yeah.
Like this isn't just like, oh, we're going to go to detention if, we go down and duel Draco Malfoy in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I think at this point she's crossed the line of like professionalism. She's not too worried about that anymore.
Yeah, she's disciplining out of emotion. We
Yeah.
don't want to skip entirely over Creature. Our boy Creature comes into the story, who you've suspicious for a long time now. What do you make of Harry's conversation with Creature?
Um I'm gonna
Harry's
find
like,
it here.
we're on page 740 to 741, and he's like, Creature, where is Sirius? What's up with you? What's going on?
Yeah. So just asking where people are. Creature says nobody here but Creature. Gleefully. And Creature thinks he will have a little chat with his mistress now. He has not had a chance to in a long time. Creature's master has been keeping him away from her. And so Harry just keeps asking where Sirius has gone. He asks if Sirius has gone to the Department of Mysteries. He says, Master does not tell poor Creature where he is going.
So, what do you make of this?
I make of it. I don't know what I make of it. I think so. I talked about earlier, like, I think that Creature is involved in this somehow, maybe as like a spy or an informant.
Sure. So maybe he was used to lure Sirius to go to the Department of Mysteries?
I think so, yeah. I think that if Voldemort can do mind control or mind invasion with other wizards, like why couldn't he do it with Creature?
Sure.
So I think he could probably communicate with Creature that way and probably develop some sort of plan to get him to, I don't know, like maybe, like could he have set up a similar situation and made like a fake vision for Sirius to where he saw Harry being like attacked or something
Oh, interesting.
and like ran to the Department of Ministry? So it's like this whole grand setup, like I'm going to make each of them think that the other is being killed, and they'll both get here.
Because
and then
you
I'll kill
got
them
to
both.
imagine that would work. There's no way Sirius sits by and is like, "Oh, that stinks. Harry's in the Department of Mysteries." Like that's
Right.
that's his whole life that he's watching go down the drain at that point. Like Sirius doesn't seem like he has Lupin, I guess, but there's not a lot. He's like dead focused on Harry,
Yeah.
his survival, that mission.
Right. Other than that, there's not a lot to lose.
Right. Okay, I like that theory. Like we said, it doesn't work out. Umbridge is like, I put in secrecy sensors and whatever. So everyone pretty much ends up getting caught. We got the absolute squad is in this room right now, being like weirdly choked out by Slytherins. So let's run this down. Who all is stuck in this room? As far as the squad.
We've got Ginny, Ron,
Yep.
Hermione, Neville,
Mm-hmm.
Harry. Am I missing anybody?
You are. Top page 744. Luna, however, stood limply by the side of her captor, gazing vaguely out of the window. This, how much you care about Luna? She and Neville are just kind of tacked on here.
Yeah, I haven't figured out why she's important yet, or why she's a new character that keeps showing up. So when I read this, I was kind of annoyed at the lack of. Okay, well, so you're in the presence of Umbridge, so there's only so much you can do. But they obviously were like, they were either like they got in a fight, or somehow these Slytherins were able to like bring these members of the squad to Umbridge's office.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me that they're like, you couldn't have put up more of a fight? Like, I know that Crabbe and Goyle are big, but like they're also
dumb.
slow and dumb.
Yeah.
And magic. So like, I'm just kind of a little disappointed in the defense skills here.
Yeah, that is frustrating. I mean, like, sure, some of them got snuck up on and they weren't expecting it, but like they've been training for this. This is defense against. This is the Dumbledore's army, like in practice, and they didn't use any of it. They just tried to only sneak.
Yeah.
So that's definitely frustrating. Umbridge is like, "Ha! I got you. Okay. Snape, come here and give Harry truth serum." So we get this whole like 2 pages of Snape.
Yeah, Snape's super weird.
Yeah, I want to know everything you think about Snape.
So he just kind of acts mildly like disinterested, just kind of like, yeah, you've got Potter and I hate Potter and it's going to take a month for me to make the serum. So why did you call me down here? Like I don't.
I gave you a whole bottle of it.
Yeah, where's the connection here? I don't see why you would think I would care about any of this.
He's like, I'm on the record as hating Harry Potter. Like that's been established. You don't need me to come in and prove to you that I don't like Harry, you know.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting that Umbridge makes the comment that like, you're on probation, you're deliberately being unhelpful.
What?
It's like, you're right. I purposely gave you a full bottle knowing that you would use all of it. And then I didn't go ahead and like fast forward, time travel a month forward, and then time travel back to bring you Veritaserum.
Yeah.
But what I was talking about is that Lucius Malfoy always speaks most highly of you. Mm-hmm. So like, that doesn't help me feel good about him being completely converted from the Death Eaters.
Right.
Because Lucius Malfoy is obviously still very much a Death Eater.
And I mean, you've for a long time been suspicious of like, where does Umbridge like connect in with Voldemort explicitly with the Death Eater thing? Like, we know she's a jerk and she's like evil in traditional sense, but is she like actually on Voldemort's team?
I think so.
If she's talking to Malfoy,
I think, yeah, I have felt more confident that she is in the last few chapters. She makes this comment, so we know she's in tight with Malfoy. And then she, like, I think in this, yeah, she says clearly it was very important for you to talk to somebody. Was it Albus Dumbledore or the half-breed Hagrid? So, like, throws a little racist term in there.
Yep.
So, like, I feel like the case is building pretty solidly that, like, she's of the same mindset as, like, a Death Eater would be, so.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, as far as like, Snape's total like lack of concern here, and just
On either side, though,
on
Snape
either
isn't like, "Oh,
side is
let them
so
go,"
weird.
but he's also not like, "Yeah, nice job, high five, you got Potter."
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna head back to Netflix now. I've been binging Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
I
Snape would
This is
be into Breaking Bad too.
be really into Breaking Bad.
Man, it meant like he'd just be pausing on the chemistry sections and like taking notes for
Yeah,
how it compares to potions.
yeah.
Wow. Listeners, if you have any other like Netflix binge-worthy shows that you think that a specific Harry Potter character would be extremely into, please let us know. I mean, there's the easy like Hagrid, Animal Planet ones. Like Hagrid would be a big what's the crocodile hunter is or whatever.
Steve
Steve
Irwin.
Irwin, yeah. That whole genre.
Rip, rip Steve
Yeah,
Irwin.
R.I.P. Gone too soon.
His son does it now, though.
Yeah, oh yeah. And daughter, I think.
Yeah, Bindi.
There's a little more. There's one other Snape thing that we wanted to make sure we hit here. Harry is like, "Oh, Snape's in the Order of the Phoenix, probably. I can tell him like we can get the word out this way."
Yeah.
Because you got to think Harry's like, "How do I contact Moody and Lupin and Tonks and Kingsley and these people that I know can be helpful outside Hogwarts? I just don't have a means of communicating with them." Snape maybe does. Do we? And I feel like we're looking at Snape here as like half in the order. Like I guess he counts, but we don't trust him.
Right.
Do you think this is a good move by Harry?
I think it's the only move he's got. Like who? I mean, he doesn't have anybody else to tell at this point,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
And he's got to do something. So I think it's kind of high risk, high reward.
When you say high risk, do you think there's a scenario here where Snape takes the information that Harry gave him in that little coded message and uses it to actively hinder Harry's efforts or reinforce Voldemort's defense? And I guess I'm asking you to pick a side here. Like, do you think that what's going to hit, the high risk or the high reward?
I think that. Oh man. So this probably isn't as fun of a way to look at it, but to me, it's too early yet in the series for Snape to be revealed as like actively on Voldemort's side.
Okay.
So I just don't feel like it's going to happen yet. So like Snape's probably going to be of some sort of assistance for Harry's side.
Okay. No, that's
basically
very pragmatic.
Like more so just because like I feel like he's going to look at it as it'll be too obvious if I don't say anything to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll know that Harry was in Umbridge's clutches and like I was the only teacher there. Or Harry will talk and tell other people that like, hey, I tried to tell Snape and like Sirius, he didn't do anything, so Sirius died.
Yeah, like even if at this point he is bad and he is assuming that Harry's going to die, he's a smart dude and he's like, okay, there's like a 6% chance that one of these kids makes it out and can tell the story of how Snape was actually unhelpful.
Right.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
He doesn't want to blow his cover just yet.
It's very calculated. He's a calculator. And so we've got one last thing left in this chapter, and it's a biggie. We've got Hermione. Okay, Umbridge loses it, and is like, I'm just gonna Crucio you. Like, I'm gonna torture you.
Yeah, tell you what, how about we just torture you and see where we get with that.
It's fine, to be clear. I'm allowed to do it because I want to do it.
And what the Ministry doesn't know won't hurt him.
Yeah.
So we'll just keep this between you and me.
Yep. You and me and Malfoy watching me torture people. So Hermione's like, no, don't tell her where the weapon is. And so she's got this weapon ploy. And I want to know where you think that's going.
I have no idea because fast forward, like Umbridge decides that her and Hermione should be the only ones to go see where this is being hidden. And I don't know where Hermione's going to take her. So, like, I mean, even reading this, it was like, I have no idea. Like, she's a quick thinker. She's always one or two steps ahead. And hopefully that is the case here. Because I don't know what. Maybe she'll just get her, like, surely she doesn't have control of her wand right now, right? Like
Yeah, I
I'm
think
assuming
all
they've
of
taken that away.
the whole squad is pretty wandless.
Yeah. Maybe she'll use Rita Skeeter somehow.
Okay, she's got her trapped in that jar, and she's just gonna like unleash her.
Yeah, maybe Rita will show up at the right time and start taking pictures and writing stories of how Umbridge is torturing kids.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, you
And
don't
so
think...
then Umbridge is caught. Like, do I go ahead and go through with this and just torture Harry? Or do I try to save face here?
It does seem like it would be helpful for Hermione to have some kind of magical bug, like recording some of this stuff so that she could give it to the newspaper or give it to, whatever authority once some of this is blown over and you can prove what you're saying about Umbridge and about whatever else.
Right.
Okay, I like that. What did you think of... There's a moment where... Okay, Umbridge is like, lead me to the weapon. You don't get to set conditions. Hermione's like, fine. I hope everyone gets to see it and everyone even uses it on you. And so we should just bring a bunch of people to go see it. And Umbridge is like, huh, okay. Because Malfoy's like, yeah, take me to a weapon. I'm in. Let's do it. Malfoy, who was too slow to disguise the look of eagerness and greed that had appeared on his face. Umbridge is just very... Like, Hermione works Umbridge here into convincing her.
Yeah, it's very calculated in that, like, I mean, Hermione is obviously 2 steps ahead of Umbridge here.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. You would think the whole time that she's been interrogating Harry, Hermione's wheels have just been going like 100 miles an hour, trying to figure out how to get out of this.
What is she hoping to hear from Harry? What can get her out of this room? She wants to hear from Harry where Dumbledore is, where Sirius Black is, where Hagrid is. Which is so interesting. I mean, none of that is about killing Harry or bringing him to Voldemort. That stuff all implies that she's still towing the company line. She thinks that Fudge is right about Harry and Dumbledore are crazy and Dumbledore's trying to take over the Ministry. I mean, as far as we know. At least that's what she's saying she wants to know.
Yeah. Yeah, so what I thought about when I read this was this could end up being the MVP move from Hermione.
Okay.
Get herself back to the throne.
Yeah, I mean, the throne has been vacated, so we got to figure it's kind of like the NBA. It's a little more open than it usually is as far as possible outcomes. So that makes sense. Okay, I'm just taking a look at the next chapter. It's a really short one. I was trying to decide if we wanted to read it together right now, but I don't think we do. I think we're going to save it. If you're listening along, we just finished chapter 32 of Order of the Phoenix. I think we're going to read 2.5 chapters and stop right at page... I think we're going to stop right at page 800.
Right at page 800.
I think we're going to read through... No, we'll read through 799. We'll start on 800. And we might do a live read for the rest of chapter 35.
Okay.
And we're going to have Carla on for next week if possible. The real question is, are we physically capable of planning more than one day ahead when we're going to record episodes at this point in our lives?
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
So hopefully we can. We do need to let Carla know. But the listeners, you don't care about that because it's like 2045 and we're celebrities and the podcast has blown up and we're famous because of it, and this is just a whole separate thing for you guys. You got to think about it that way, you know? Like, we're kind of time traveling.
Absolutely.
Because this stuff is being recorded for posterity.
Yeah. Like, I talked to Bo last week, and he was asking, like, where we were at. And I told him, and he was like, holy crap. Well, I just left, like, 4 howlers about, like, the end of Goblet of Fire.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been hearing them. I'm excited for it. We'll probably do, we might maybe do a couple howlers with Carla on. We haven't had Carla on in the new format with the board, have we? Well, maybe we have. I'll have to see what Jeremy thinks about how we can do that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where we wrap up here on Chapter 33. If you, like Carla, would like to come on the podcast, if you, like Carla, would like to get a Harry Potter-themed Halloween card, other than the fact that, like Carla, you'll be getting that like 3 weeks late because it takes a long time to mail things to you, then you are welcome to support us on Patreon. We've got, let's see. Yeah. We've got some great patrons over there who make it possible for us to keep doing this by supporting us financially. It makes it a little more viable for us to take this time and effort to do it, and we really, really appreciate those people, and we would love for you to consider supporting us on there. That's patreon.com/mugglesperspective. You can find all those links. I think they're in our show notes, but definitely at mugglespodcast.com. That'll also get you to what? Instagram and Facebook.
Yes.
2 other great ways to get in contact with us. You can email us. Don't get a lot of emails. mugglesperspective@gmail.com. We'd love for you to contact us in that way as well. What's another way they can contact us, Braden?
You can call in to our, well, you can call or text our, basically it's a voicemail line. We call it the Howler. So that is 978-768-8370. That is a place where you can, like I said, leave a voicemail or a text with thoughts, questions, comments, rants, complaints, just general musings. And as we have said before, it really doesn't even have to be related to Harry Potter. We just like to hear from you, and it's a cool way to communicate and just kind of hear voices and personalities of listeners. So again, that is 978-768-8370.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, supporting us here. We'd love for you to give us a rating and review on iTunes or Spotify or however it is that you listen to your podcast. That's always helpful. And tell your friends, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and we will see you next week, I think. Hopefully next week. Great.
Hopefully next week. Bye.